Hello and welcome to Tuesday Night Hype number 56, Top 4. We're going to have Bloody against Magnus's TheKamsh. And Bloody's on Vicious Syndicate. And today they're going to be playing... Bloody's going to be playing what he had last round, which is Warlock, Shaman, and Paladin. And I believe one more class, Druid.
His Druid's banned, though, so...
Okay, and his Druid, which is banned. And TheKamsh will have... I think it's a mirror, except Warrior over.
He has Warlock, Shaman, Paladin, but yeah, Warrior's banned. Bloody's actually playing Aggro Druid, though, although we're not going to get to see it, so that's an interesting variation. And then we know he is playing Reno combo Handlock. I don't know what the Kamsh is playing in terms of like his Warlock type.
Yeah, I have no idea. Actually, I would assume Reno, but Zoo's been getting a lot of hype these days, so it can be anything.
Yeah, how do you feel about like Zoo being stronger than Reno? Because I know like Tempo Storm released their meta snapshot, and I've been seeing like people on like things like the competitive Hearthstone subreddit where they think Zoo's really strong. Where I'm personally in the camp of Reno Lock is just better. How do you feel about that?
In this metagame, I'm really not sure. I think they're both tier 1 decks. Zoo is definitely like I don't really know. They're just both so good. Like
it's like 1A and 1B.
Yeah, Zoo's definitely going to be a faster climb. Like Zoo is more efficient in terms of like if they're both good decks, if they're both on the same level, then Zoo is just faster, which means you'll get in more games. So in that sense, Zoo is slightly better for like climbing and stuff because it's just faster if they're both equally as good. But
yeah, that makes sense. Although for tournament play, you don't really care about game speed, so it probably comes down more to personal preference than actual, like...
Yeah, or what you think the metagame is going to be. Like, Reno's really strong against stuff like Priest, Warrior, stuff like that. And Zoo's better against, like, more attrition-based matchups. But
yes.
Either way, we're going to get into the game here, and it's going to be Bloody playing Shaman against TheKamsh playing Warlock.
Yeah, and it does look like a Reno variant. I don't think anybody plays MC Tech in like normal handlock, so...
No. And we see it, Emperor Thorsan, etc., etc. But TheKamsh's hand is actually pretty strong. It just is lacking a Dark Bomb to deal with the Juggler.
Yeah, he's only going to really have to take heat from the Juggler for one turn, because I think he can Coin Implosion next turn if he really is worried about it.
Yeah. And even though TheKamsh's hand is really strong, Bloody's it's also really good.
Yeah, he has some really strong early game, and then he already has the Doomhammer Rockbiter combo as well, so he can curve out to that later to probably finish off the last like half of the damage he needs to get in on the Warlock's face.
So this turn, I think, is actually going to be a huge decision point. If he decides to play Juggler Tunnel Trog, he's going to get slightly punished by the Mind Control tech, but he'd get even more punished by a top deck Hellfire. Mind Control tech actually doesn't do a whole lot on the board if it seals the Tunnel Trog, because Bloody can still push with the Knife Jugglers. But if TheKamsh top decks a Hellfire here, this is not going to look good for Bloody. And he does not top deck a Hellfire, so you're just going to have to settle for the Mind Control tech.
He does get a Juggler, though. That's really good, I think.
Yeah, and he gets the extra Juggle. If that Juggle had hit the Tunnel Trog, this game would have taken a huge change of pace. But the Juggle ends up going face, which is pretty bad for TheKamsh. And now Bloody top decks Totem Golem to buff his Tunnel Trogs, but he might not want to play it because of the Doomhammer in his hand.
Yeah, it's kind of, this is why a lot of people like don't like Shaman that much, is because Overload makes a lot of your turns really awkward. If he could play a 3-mana Totem Golem here, I think he'd be happy with it, but instead he's going to be forced to kind of either screw his next turn or have a really weak turn this turn.
Yeah, I think also because he has a Knife Juggler, he might be more inclined to just Totem Golem Hero Power, push out 2 Juggles, buff his Totem Golems, and wait a turn on the Doomhammer and hope to top deck something.
Yeah, how do you feel about him wasting the Rockbiter here when he already has Doomhammer in hand?
This is kind of weird to me, actually. This is really weird to me. Because originally I thought that he used the Rockbiter because he wasn't going to play the Totem Golem, and he wanted to clear something. But now that he did use the Totem Golem and he can't play Doomhammer next turn, this just seems kind of awkward.
Yeah, it's really likely, actually, that he just draws something like a Lava Burst, a Crackle, a Lightning Bolt, something he doesn't really want to play. Although Lava Burst will line up nicely here, there are some dead draws, and I guess Leper Gnome's probably one of them.
Yeah, but it's a creature, so he could get really lucky on the knife juggler juggles. If both juggles from the creature and the totem hit the belcher, and as I say that. So I think what's going to happen here is we're just going to see Bloody pass the turn.
Yeah, I would agree with that play. These trades line up really poorly, so I think, I mean, you're kind of like weak to Shadow Flame, I guess, but
Yeah, if you were going to trade, I think you trade first because the juggle doesn't make any difference, and then you clear off the 1/2, and then you get the guaranteed juggle to face. But with this line, I'm thinking he's just not going to trade at all, and he's just going to try to get the Doomhammer out next turn and try to push after that and hope that there's no AoE from the Kamsh.
yeah, he's kind of gotten himself to a point where he's like hoping that the TheKamsh doesn't have a couple things, which isn't a spot I think you want to really be in. And it looks like he's going to trade here, which is really weird to me.
So what that happened, like, by trading there first, like, he traded the Juggler, so he'd have to trade first.
Yeah, I guess if that was his plan, then...
Yeah, he couldn't guarantee the Juggler to face, but either way, it felt kind of weird, and now the Kamsh got a Demon Wrath off the top, and he was able to clear the board. But Bloody has Doomhammer, and the Kamsh really, really needs to draw Reno soon, or some type of healing.
I think Reno's GG at this point. With how empty Bloody's hand is, I don't think he'd be able to recover, even with the Doomhammer on board.
Oh my god, Healbot off the top. That is brutal for Bloody. But it isn't a Reno, so
no, there's definitely
he still has a
hope.
chance.
Rockbiter off the top here is quite a bit of damage. Second Doomhammer,
that is
literally worthless.
That is not a good card. And I think if you get to the point where you're using both Doomhammers, you're probably not in a great spot.
No, not at all. So, I think Bloody has maybe 2 more turns to try to sort this out before things like Argus and maybe like another sorts of healing just make this unreachable. Argus is probably going to come down here. I don't really know how he's going to swing through that even.
He needs to draw a Rockbiter weapon to be able to break through these two, and then he can start pushing again next turn and have like a small chance. Or he could just start top decking Burn from this point on and just ignore the creatures.
Two things. He's picked up a Leper Gnome.
Okay, a Leper Gnome. Yeah, I don't think that 2 damage is relevant to whether he can roll a Spell Power Totem and then get Burst. Because the most Burst he could do, ignoring the taunts, would be Crackle for 7 because of a potential Spell Power Totem, and then Lava Shock for 3, and then the Leper Gnome 2 damage, so that's only 12, so it doesn't work out for him.
You'd have to get like Ancestral Knowledge into double Crackle, and like the odds of that happening are just so low that you don't even really consider it as an option.
Yeah, the real question here, though, is whether you want to double hit the Antique Healbot this turn and then try to draw like a Rockbiter next turn to clear and then push 5 to face.
Taking
Maybe
8 damage feels pretty bad, though. Like,
yeah, you definitely don't want to be doing that either. Like, everything feels pretty bad here. But if he takes the 8 damage, he has a chance to do something like Ancestral's Knowledge into Earthshock Rockbiter for lethal. Maybe.
That would still be 1 damage off, unless he would also have to roll Spell Power or no.
No, he has a Leper Gnome on the board. So
yeah, Leper Gnome will do the damage. Of course, he also has to dodge healing with that plan, which is, although that looks pretty realistic at the moment, so maybe there's a little hope.
I like taking the 4 damage there and having Earthshock as an out along with something else, but it's still all really, really unlikely to happen at this point. That top deck Healbot from the Kamsh was backbreaking for Bloody.
Yeah, I mean, if he hadn't got it, he'd be sitting on 5 health right now, which seems a lot more doable in Bloody's shoes. You can top deck almost any burn spell and just end the game. Or even a Spell Power Totem and make 5 health.
Interesting. So he's going to Implosion the 0-2 taunt. I like this. Push damage. And now he has lethal next turn. And Bloody needs to top deck something here. And the Abusive Sergeant is not going to do it.
I think that's going to be the end for Bloody.
Let's see. He could roll a Spell Power Totem and Lava Shock the Piloted Shredder.
Right? Oh.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Doomsayer one time. Nope. That is not a Doomsayer. So that will be game.
Yeah, I think he's going... I would assume he'd concede here.
I don't know. He's just... It doesn't matter. Like, the Kamsh knows he's probably playing a standard Shaman deck. Like, it doesn't matter at this point. He's just playing it out to play it out.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely still... I just like getting out of the game as quick as possible when I lose. That's just me
Yeah, for
personally,
sure.
so...
It also hides information as well, so your opponent has an idea of what your 30 cards is if you try to maybe switch it up a little bit. But
Well, I mean,
at this
even
point,
like
I don't think it
standard aggro shaman,
matters.
there are a couple cards that are different. Like, it's not all 30 cards set. Demigod runs flame jugglers. I think Faramir runs like elemental destruction. So like, there is a little
Mhm.
variation that you should probably try to hide.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, we're going to be going into the next game. The Kamsh took game one with his Warlock deck against Bloody Shaman. And I wonder what we'll see Bloody Q next. He's up against a Druid and a Paladin, so he might just 3Q the Shaman again, because that has pretty decent matchups against both of those decks.
Yeah, so far today he's actually well, at least in the last set he went down 0-2 and he kept queuing a shaman until it won. So I'd be really surprised to see him deviate from that here.
Yeah, I think
His plan.
I think after the first game of his last match, I was watching the stream. I think that the Shaman still had pretty solid matchups, and he just couldn't get there with it. So I don't think it was like wrong to Q Shaman again. And just like here, I don't think it's wrong to Q Shaman again. You just have to get there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just draw bad. Like, favored matchups aren't 100-0. Like, sometimes you still lose the 20% or 30% of games that you're favored to lose. So it happens.
Yep. Or he could just be going with the old classic, just pick a random number and throw that out. That's legitimate, man.
I'm trying to think who I know I watched the Rat stream to his like perspective Tuesday Night Hype, and I think he like rolls a die or something every time he goes to pick a
Oh yeah, a lot of good players. A lot of good players actually just randomly pick their decks to be unpredictable, which I don't know if it's a legitimately good strategy or not, but it's a thing that people do.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I try to like find myself good matchups. Like, I don't see any reason to like avoid playing a good matchup because your die rolled something differently if you have the choice. But of course, you never know what they're gonna pick. So
Nope, and now we're gonna see Shaman versus Paladin, and the Kamsh looks like he's bringing a Secret Paladin. And oh my god, that hand is awful.
that's disgusting.
That hand is awful.
That's a one card away from worst case scenario. Actually, he's lucky enough to have a turn 3 play.
Yeah, but he does play a Noble Sack on 1, which is gonna stop the Slepper Gnome from getting in for 2 damage. Well, it will still get in for 2 damage,
That's
but
brutal.
oh my god, that looks like how I lost Tuesday Night Hype.
I was gonna say I remember seeing a picture look very similar to this one.
Yeah, no, I opened 4 secrets in a row, 2 games in a row, and I was like, oh god, it just happens. And
So in those
luckily,
games, did you win? Just for like a preview of
oh
what happened
god,
here.
I conceded on turn 4 every time. I conceded on turn 4, and I O2'd my group, and I was done. But unfortunately for the Kamsh, it's not looking good for him. But he can pull it back because he has Muster for battle.
Yeah, Muster could do some work, and we don't actually see a great hand from Bloody. If Bloody like coined Feral Spirits here, then I'd be really worried if I was the Kamsh. But at the moment, he's Ancestral Knowledging, which is a lot more underwhelming.
Yeah, it's going to be really rough if he coin Abusive Sergeants here, because that's just going to get blocked by the Noble Sacrifice from the Kamsh.
I mean, I don't think you do, because with 3 secrets up, like, it's pretty likely that one of them's Noble Sack, so I don't see any reason to waste the abusive here, and you kind of want to hold the coin to maybe next turn, like, coin Totem Golem or something to put a good minion on the board.
Yeah, I do agree with attacking this turn, though, because if he's going to Muster next turn, like, you can't not proc the Avenge anymore, but this way, now that you attack and get the Noble Sack out of the way, the Avenge isn't guaranteed to just proc in a couple turns.
Yeah, he actually doesn't have Avenge up, though. He has Repentance and Competitive Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, from Bloody's perspective.
Yeah,
like,
I guess that's true. He can't see the secrets, so never mind.
Yeah, you're probably thinking it's like Noble Sack Avenge and then a 3rd secret. So, like, from Bloody's perspective, if he attacks now, he doesn't proc the Avenge for free, basically.
Yeah. Leopard Gnome's an okay top deck there. It, like, pops their pens, but this Competitive Spirit is going to get a ton of value for the Kamsh.
Oh, yeah, and man, that start was looking really bad, but now he's actually in a pretty decent spot.
Yeah, second Muster is nice as well. Do you play that here, or are you scared of Elemental Destruction variants?
You're not scared of Elemental Destruction, but I think playing the Secret Keeper and the Avenge is slightly better because now the Secret Keeper is threatening, and he can't really clear any minions without proccing Avenge, which just adds more power to the board. And you get to squeeze in a hero power, and then next turn you can just play it if you really want to.
Yeah, he might
But
not even be able to. He'll probably be in such a good spot that he won't have enough room for his minions.
yeah, that's also another reason to hold back on the mustard, because you just might not have enough room to play your other minions that you end up drawing. And here from Bloody, oh man, I don't even know what you do at this point, because you see a secret, you know you haven't seen Avenge yet, so it's most likely going to be Avenge. And your hand just has no good ways to deal with it if it is Avenge.
Bloody currently, though, is sitting on 18 damage in burn spells, so...
Man. Is it time to just... Yeah.
Do you just start going? Like, there's no way I'm going to win this game through board control. He's never getting back this board. Do you just start throwing stuff up top?
I honestly don't know. I think that might be the best option, is to Lava Burst, coin Lava Shock, and then hope you draw Doomhammer, and just try to race him. But even then, you're on a 3-turn clock.
Yeah, and if something like Belcher comes down next turn, then
yeah,
that plan goes a little haywire. And you'd still have to top deck Doomhammer.
And this route is not gonna be good for Bloody at all.
No, in a world where that's like Noble Sack or something, maybe it's okay, but
yeah, you could also be thinking it's like Redemption or something.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna see the Kamsh clear these Feral Spirits, and he's gonna use his face. He actually feels comfortable.
No fear from the Kamsh.
No, I like this. You definitely don't want to trade in your 2/2s or your creatures. And, like, because you have a faster clock if you keep your creatures on the board. Right now Bloody's on a 2-turn clock, and I don't think there's any way he can kill the Kamsh.
No, and because we already saw the Kamsh draw, like, probably 70% of his secrets, it's pretty likely that cards coming off the top don't suck. Like, it's more likely that he draws into, like, another Shredder or a Challenger or something of that nature than it is he draws into, like, second Noble Sack.
Challenger will bring out Noble Sacrifice too, which is pretty good for him. And we see just a Lightning Bolt on the 2/2 and a Knife Juggler come out here. And we're going to see a Coin Abusive, and he's just going to hope that it lands in the 1/1, so that maybe the Abusive pushes 2 damage through the Kamsh having to hit it with his weapon. But even then, this is just... I don't know how you win from this point. Like... it's just not looking good.
Not at all, and like even if the Kamsh has to like sacrifice most of his board here, he's going to be able to refill with Muster Secret Keeper.
Ooh.
And he gets to push 2 more damage thanks to the little charge Murloc.
Yeah, but we could actually, now that the Kamsh has no board, and he drew really poorly, like, Secret Keeper was probably one of the worst draws, especially knowing that you've used all your secrets for the most part. Bloody actually has a chance to top deck something like a Doomhammer and be able to race the Kamsh, because he no longer even has a 2-turn clock.
No, there's currently 7 damage, 8 damage on board, so he's actually one damage off of being able to put him on a 2-turn clock. And because he has no cards in hand, you're actually not that scared of him top decking lethal, and a Taunt Totem's going to help as well.
Yeah, I mean, does Bloody play the Horse Rider and go face? I think you probably have to.
I don't think he can trade.
He might be thinking of, if I trade and my opponent draws poorly again, is there a way I can put myself on a 3-turn clock to give myself more time? That's a bit wishful thinking, but that's probably what he's thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to accept that in order to win the game, your opponent's going to draw poorly. Like, there are scenarios where, like, if he draws boom, which he just did...
Well, there it is. There it is. There's the boom.
Then you probably can't win.
And now we see the Kamsh pushing face damage, and that's going to be lethal next turn. So Bloody doesn't really have any outs.
No, definitely. I was trying to think of something that would have maybe like even bought him another turn, but like I said, not really much he could do there. For all those bad draws, the Kamsh was finally like rewarded, or I guess compensated, for drawing 4 secrets at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, sometimes lucky. Like, when the Kamsh saw his opening hand, he was probably like, "Oh God, no, not this, not like this." But Bloody just couldn't keep up with that secret hand, and the Kamsh ends up taking game 2. And he's up 2-0, and Bloody starts off 0-2 yet again with his Shaman. while playing against what I would consider somewhat favorable matchups, which is
Yeah,
mm,
I definitely agree. Like, the reason I think that people thought Aggression was so good for a while is because it's very good against Secret Paladin. And we see even there with a bad hand from the Secret Paladin, it still wins. So,
Bloody also had a pretty poor hand as well. I don't think he's opened Tunnel Trog yet.
no, that's true. In last series, again, we saw him drop the first two games without picking up a Doom Hammer. So he's just been relatively about as unlucky as you can be and still advance so far.
Yep, but that's Hearthstone, man. It happens. Sometimes you just, no matter what you do, no matter how good you are, sometimes it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean that's part of any card game, and Hearthstone's no different. And it's unfortunate for like the players of higher skill levels that think like, well, if the game had a little less variance, maybe I'd do a little better.
All right, cueing the Shaman again. I like it. This is probably one of his better matchups still. Not that that's meant anything before, but oh god.
All right, he has a minion. That's, I mean, no
He has
turn
no
one
one
play.
drop. Nope.
Or
No
sorry,
turn
no
one
drop.
play. But the Kamsh's hand is not looking good either. So, Bloody's got that going for him.
Ancient of War is an interesting card that, while it's not going to be relevant for a while, I think it could be really relevant later if you can get it in front of a Doom Hammer.
Mm-hmm. And the second Totem Golem pickup's actually pretty good here for Bloody. And the Kamsh still doesn't have any good options. If he's coined Shade here, he's actually in a lot of trouble if he doesn't draw Innervate.
Would you favor BGH here over Shade since it trades with the Totem Golem?
I think I would, yeah. It's weaker to things like Lightning Bolt or like basically any type of removal, but at this point you probably have to get lucky anyways, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like he did.
So we're just yep.
Playing the second Totem Golem.
We're gonna see second Totem Golem. Bloody's gonna push 3 damage. The Kamsh is gonna play the Shade of Nax. Trade, and then we'll see what happens from here.
Yeah, it's another brutal draw for the Kamsh with Dr. Boom off the top as well.
That was a really good draw for Bloody. Now the question is whether he wants to have the Sir Finley hero power, or whether he wants to roll for something like a Taunt Totem. I think you want a Sir Finley first to try to get like Hunter hero power.
Yeah, I think the odds of getting a better hero power are better than the odds of getting Taunt Totem, because the other two don't really do a whole lot for you, I don't think. And he does get Hunter hero power, so that's nice.
Yeah, no, the other totems are like almost completely irrelevant. Even the 1/1 would have just got swiped away. So I like this choice by Bloody. Gets the Hunter hero power and goes to the Dome.
Yep, and next turn he gets to start Doom Hammering away. He has the Ancestral Knowledge as well that'll probably help him fish for a Rock Biter next turn.
Yeah, and I think he will probably end up clearing the Shade of Nax, just because it will do a lot of damage, and that's the only way that the Kamsh can actually even pressure him.
Oh,
And,
Innervate, wow.
The Innervate off the top is huge, but the Earthshock is going to be able to stop the War from being a 5/10 taunt.
Yeah, that's actually a huge deal that Bloody has the Earthshock, because without that, it's really disgusting for him to try to get through this.
Yeah, now he has some decisions to make, whether he wants to Hero Power or Ancestral's Knowledge this turn and drop a Tunnel Trog. Personally, I think Hero Power is better because it lets you push guaranteed damage.
Yeah, I think the Trog is dying on board next turn anyway, so I'm fine with just continuing to get damage. And I don't think you're winning this game through, like, minion damage anymore. I think you have enough with your Hero Power, Doom Hammer, and Lava Burst in hand to get it done that way.
Yeah, and I think you do drop the Tunnel Trog just to soak up 5 damage. But maybe you want to hold it to try to, like, flood the board with minions, and somehow your opponent isn't able to deal with them all at once.
I mean, maybe you just could play double Tunnel Trog here and hope one of them, like, makes it to next turn when you can throw a bunch of Overload, but missing a Hero Power or something like that feels really bad.
Yeah, I don't like not Hero Powering here, because if your Tunnel Trog gets dealt with something like a Wrath, you kind of just feel like you missed 2 damage. And you're going into turn 6. I guess if your opponent Force of Natures, you're pretty happy about that, but Bloody decides to play the second Tunnel Trog and see if his opponent can deal with it. And he actually can't really deal with it efficiently. If he had something like a Wrath, he could have, like, Keepered Wrath for 1 or something like that, but...
Keeper Hero Power isn't horrible.
Yeah, this is, like, the same thing.
I guess you take 1 extra face damage, but not really.
Yeah. No, you don't, because you gain the armor. If it was Wrath, you wouldn't gain an armor, so it's the same thing.
Oh wow, this is actually going to be a nice turn because you can Knowledge, Lava Burst, and then Lava Shock, so you get to play cards next turn as well.
I actually think it might be better to Hero Power this turn to push maximum amount of damage.
Yeah,
and then
you're right.
Yeah.
My bad. Definitely seems better. Do you Hero Power Lava Burst here, or do you try to play more minion?
Oh.
I don't know about this. These minions are both dying on board.
But I guess it forces the Kamsh to deal with them. Maybe that's what he's thinking, is that they'll soak up damage. And the Leper Gnome still pushes 2 damage, so it's like similar to playing the Lava Burst. And this is actually like maximum amount of damage. I actually like this play because next turn you can play Lava Burst, Lava Shock, and Hero Power,
Yeah,
which is guaranteed lethal anyways.
Just dead.
Yeah, playing the Leper Gnome actually gave him guaranteed lethal through a taunt. So Bloody actually made the right play there by playing the Leper Gnome.
Yeah, I think my Rockbiter makes none of it matter, I guess. But I think my concern was more with the abusive. But I guess he's probably not playing it any later.
Yeah.
So why not?
No, playing the abusive is, you just play it because you already played your other creature. But either way, Bloody ends up taking this game. He finds a win with his Aggro Shaman, and now he's going to have to reverse sweep the Kamsh's Druid, which is very possible. I think Druid...
No, the series is 1-1 now. Right?
No. The Kamsh was up 2-0.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Never mind.
No, he has to reverse sweep Druid, yeah. Bloody has to win with Warlock and Paladin to reverse sweep the Kamsh's Druid.
I think that Warlock win is going to be a struggle, for sure.
It's not going to be easy, but it's definitely possible. I think he might be playing Combo Lock.
Yeah, he is. Seen him play it early in the tournament. I don't remember if it was last round or a round before that, but he definitely is.
Okay, so if he's playing Combo Lock, that matchup's definitely not favorable, but it's not horrible. And I think that's going to be the matchup that he needs to win. The Secret Paladin versus Druid is favored for him, but the Warlock matchup's definitely going to be hard.
Yeah, it's definitely not impossible, though. Like you said, Bloody reverse swept last round, so it'd be pretty crazy if he could reverse sweep in the round of 8 and in the round of 4 to make it to the final.
Yeah, that'd be very impressive. And let's see here. I wonder what they're thinking about. Like, you don't really have any options. Like, it doesn't really matter unless you're going for like the extended airtime.
You just want your name on screen slightly longer.
Like, you queue the Paladin. You try to get the easier matchup out of the way, and then you take it to game 5, and you have the Warlock, and then that's the hard matchup for you. I think you just probably mulligan this whole hand. Or not the whole hand, I mean, just the, keep the mini-bot.
Yeah, I was going to say, a mini-bot in turn 2 seems pretty good.
Yeah, no, I misspoke, sorry.
The rest of his hand seems pretty gross, though. Challenger and Belcher are going to take a while to be useful. And I think part of beating Druid is getting some early pressure in before, like while they're playing cards like Wild Growth that don't impact the board.
Yeah, I can't believe I like just zoned in on the Noble Sack and the Honda Creeper, and like I knew the mini bot was like an obvious keep, and then I was just it happens. It happens
sometime. And now the curve's kind of like looking slightly better for Bloody. He can try to play a Knife Juggler here and hope it lives, and at the moment it will. Looking at the Kamsh's hand, he's only gonna have one turn really where he has to play so optimally, which is next turn.
Yeah, and this is a hard turn for Bloody because he is thinking, if I drop the Knife Juggler and my opponent has something like a Wrath, that's really rough, but you see the Coin Wild Growth and you assume that your opponent's just going to play Shade on 3.
Yeah, I think I would make that assumption as well. I think Coin Wild Growth kind of like rules out your scariest like answer to turn 2 Juggler, which is Innervate Keeper. So maybe that's an extra reason to play the Juggler as well.
So here we see the Kamsh just play Shade of Naxxramas, and if Bloody ends up drawing Muster or something,
That's
okay,
nice.
that is nice. But if he had drawn Muster or something like that, or just like a Secret Keeper, he'd have a chance to actually juggle down that Shade of Naxxramas, which should be pretty gross.
Yeah, do you think he should have maybe just Savage Roared and cleared off the Juggler there?
He was thinking about it because he was hovering over the Savage Roar, but that seems pretty passive. I'm not sure what I would do there.
Yeah, I've seen people make that Savage Roar play before, but I don't think anybody's ever felt good about just turn 3 Savage Roar to clear a minion.
It's definitely a viable play, especially when you're really afraid of Muster potentially just blowing you out on turn 3. And here the Kamsh opts to not trade. He wants to let his shade grow, and that's perfectly fine because the juggler's silent, so he will not get value off of the juggles.
Yeah, now it's just a normal 3-2, and it trades really poorly with the keeper of the grove, so you assume it's
Yeah.
just going to go face, and you'll get to pick it off for free next turn, most likely.
Yep. So really strong play by the Kamsh, and Bloody just kind of has to go face here. I don't know if you end up holding the weapon or not, but attacking into that preemptively, you might get punished by something like a Wrath, but probably not. You're probably fine. That keeper's probably going into the Knife Juggler.
Yeah, most likely. Unless something like really scary comes out of this Shredder, I guess, here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not super scary. Do you unstealth your shade now to deal with this Titan Knight of Evil? The Kamsh didn't.
Well, he didn't. I would have thought about it, but
I
it's
think
a really
it might better
hard
be
call.
used this turn. You kind of anticipate Belcher on 5 now, I think, and this is a much cleaner trade.
Yeah, I like this play from the Kamsh, just holding on to the shades. You also are maybe expecting a Belcher on turn 5, especially after watching Bloody play previously. You know he's playing 2 Belchers, so he's likely to have one on 5, and you know that you want to keep the shade able to trade with it. So right now he's just thinking about whether he wants to use Force to clear or potentially Savage or even.
Yeah, nothing this turn. Like, he can only play 1 card this turn, regardless of what he plays, which kind of sucks. I guess you can just force everything in the Belcher, and then... Do you value clearing the board before Challenger turn, or do you just want to get your own board presence slightly bigger?
It's a hard call. I like playing the Drake here, though. It's not a huge difference, to be honest. Like, if you play Force, you keep your shades more. Your shades are safer, but at the same time, like, your opponent is probably going to trade in and make the trade for you. So, I like the Drake there.
Yeah, you were correct. He did. He went in and traded. If the Kamsh had a BGH here, he'd be miles ahead, I think, because he'd be able to pick off this Challenger pretty easily. But unfortunately for him, it's going to be rather difficult to deal with.
Yeah, if he had a BGH here, I think this game would actually be over. Like, I don't know how Bloody would recover from that. Especially with the Keeper already in the hand to deal with the Tyrion.
Yeah, I was about to say, he is set up to answer any threat without over 7 attack. He's just going to struggle with this 10-9.
Oh man, is Bloody going to go in with a big Challenger? That is the question. I think he is. I think he has to.
I think you're fine if he silences it, though, right? You've seen 1 Keeper, so you'll get to play Tyrion, which won't get silenced next turn, and then you'll be able to deal the remaining 5 damage with your weapon.
Oh, interesting. So he opts to go with this play. Oh, he's trading.
Why?
This is
he
really...
dying to, like, innervate combo or something?
I'm not sure, but that is really weak to swipe. And I guess Wrath, too, because of the spell power.
Oh, wow. Swipe off the top.
So swipe the Living Roots on the Challenger's going to get brought back as a 6-1.
Yeah, but
So-
Living Roots as well is going to be nice to clean it up. Or you can keep her if you want to do it for tempo, but going to turn 8, I feel like that's probably not the best idea.
Yeah, we also going to have we have a Noble Sack up too, so I think, yeah, Keeper's pretty strong, but if you want to save it for Tyrion, Andy decides to attack. So you, I don't know, that seems weird to me because you kind of know that that's Noble Sack, right?
Yeah, you've already seen Challenger, right?
Yeah, like you know that's a Noble Sack, and now you just gave up your only answer to Bloody's only way to actually come back into the game, which is, it seems sketchy to me, but...
Yeah, I mean, maybe he can play Boom here and hope he doesn't die, and then just combo to kill him next turn.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna, if he's playing the Living Roots, maybe he's making 2 1/1s, and he's just going for it.
Yeah,
And that looks like what he's doing.
going all in. I don't think Bloody runs a Consecrate. It's not in his hand, even if he does.
No, I don't think so, but that Juggler off the top, I don't know if it actually changes anything, but I think Blessing, like you've seen Keeper, So
Yeah,
you
he's
could
had an
potentially just,
opportunity to BGH as well, so I don't think you're worried about that.
yeah, I think we could just see a blessing on the Tyrion and just push the damage. We might see a Mysterious Challenger come down. I don't know how many secrets are left.
I
If there's
think
more secrets, Mysterious Challenger's probably fine too.
I think he's holding one Avenge left in his deck, if my count is correct.
Yeah, either way though, we're gonna see the Juggler come down this turn.
Yeah, I just think Bloody's in a really bad spot. I think he's being punished for not swinging that 10 damage face.
Yeah, I
It's hard to say how it would have changed the game, but I feel like a Secret Paladin, you want to end the game a little more quickly than he has attempted to.
wait. Okay, I don't understand this at all. He just made his chances lower of hitting a 1/1. And I never mind. This is Hearthstone. We get there anyways.
Never punished.
We get there anyways.
Now we decide. Oh, BGH off the top
Oh,
as
and
well.
that is
With the Innervate, that's game, right?
that is yeah, that is 100% game because you can combo and then innervate out a BGH. So that is lethal if the Kamsh spots it.
I think this is a pretty hard one to mix. And
Yeah, he's probably just like, holy crap, that just happened. I
Yeah.
just drew the best card I could have drawn. And
There's-
that's the game.
yeah, that's a 3-2 win for Kamsh. There's always that moment of shock, though, when you top
3-1,
deck exactly
3-1.
what you need to win the game.
3-1 win from
Oh,
Kamsh.
3-1, my apologies.
Yeah, it's all good.
Slightly more dominant than I.
Yeah, you don't give Bloody more credit than he deserves. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love Bloody, but that was a really good run from him. That's another top 4. I think that's the second one in a row, actually.
Yeah, that's impressive. Getting in the top 4 isn't easy. Don't get us wrong.
No, especially not in a Conquest Open where pretty much anything can happen. You have to get.
Really well played him to make it this far, but better played today by the Kamsh. He'll go on to the final. We're not sure who he's going to play yet, but we will inform you at the same time we learn when we come back with the second semifinal. So stay tuned.